This is Joe, and today I'm going to be doing a Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech for my Yoshimaru Faithful and Shitiki the Usurper deck. Now the main goal of this deck is to really buff up Yoshimaru and then attack with him so I get all the life gain from Shitiki. This is mostly a life gain deck, and so today I'm going to be going through it. Alright, first creature that we have is 8.5 Tails. Now, this card is mainly for, target permanent you control gains protection from white until end of turn. I can give my stuff protection from white, and then I can turn my opponent's spells white if it ever comes to that, if I ever need it. Alright, next is Rishkar. It's Rishkar. Things with +1/+1 counters can tap for green mana. I'm putting a lot of +1/+1 counters on a lot of stuff, so it kind of just makes sense. Next is Leonor, Autumn Sovereign. It has Coven, which is at the beginning of your turn. You put a +1/+1 counter on up to one target creature you control. Then if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, draw a card. This is kind of just in there to get some card draw in, because if I'm putting +1/+1 counters on creatures, I'm probably gonna have, creatures with different powers. Next is Trilarsa, the Moon Dancer. It's whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on it and scry 1. It's a life gain deck, and I want deck manipulation in there, so I'm probably going to be doing that a decent amount of times. Next, Will-O-Dusk Essenseer. 1 and tap and choose another target creature, put a number of +1/+1 counters on equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn, or the amount of life you've lost this turn, whichever is greater. Which, there's a few combos in here that I will bring back out at the end that I can show you with this card, because I'm going to be gaining a lot of life, and that'll allow me to put a lot of +1/+1 counters on certain things. Alright, next is Asterion. I don't really know why he's in here. I do know why he's in there. He has Death Touch and Lifelink, and I get to double the amount of life I've gained at the end of a turn if I want to, or double the amount of life an opponent has lost. Next is Baird's Doer of Argive. Has Vigilance, and creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller plays 1. So it's basically just like faux ward. It's basically just like, you can't attack me unless you pay 1 for each creature. So if someone's coming at me with like a bunch of creatures, it's like, oh no, you can't do that now. Alright, next card. Elishnor. This was supposed to be a budget deck, but then I opened a Phyrexia, completed bundle, and I pulled this card. So now it's no longer a budget deck. But it's, if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability for you to control, that ability triggers another time. Yoshimaru uses triggered abilities from legendary permanents entering the battlefield. So instead of 1 +1/+1 counter, it will give him 2. There's other things in this deck that will give him more than that, but we'll get to those later. And then permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities of permanents your opponent's control to trigger. That's just good because, your opponent's not being able to do stuff is always a good thing in this game. Next card is Argod the Cursed. Other legendary creatures you control get +2/+2. As you probably noticed by now, I have a lot of legendary creatures. Next card, Arano, Woven Familiar. As long as it's your turn, commanders you control have Indestructible. Indestructible? Yeah. Yoshimaru can get pretty big towards the later stages of the game, so him having Indestructible is pretty good. Pretty good. Alright, next card is Kubris Harvest Celebrant. It enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters equal to the mana spent on it, and you can remove a +1/+1 counter and prevent all damage that would be dealt to another target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. This is just good because if someone buffs up their thing to block my Yoshimaru, I could just remove a +1/+1 counter on it and, not have my cute little doggy die. Next, Lathiel, the Boundless Dawn. This is at the beginning of each end step. If you gain life this turn, distribute that many +1/+1 counters among any number of other target creatures. That's pretty good because, you know, I'm going to be gaining a decent amount of life, and this allows me to put more +1/+1 counters on my creatures, which then in turn gains me more life. Next card, Faithful Shadowcat Familiar. Its commanders, you control Menace and Death Touch. That's kind of self-explanatory. You know, this guy having Death Touch, that's pretty good. Menace is pretty good, but yeah. Next card is Bilbo Birthday Celebrant. So now this card is kind of it's a little bit of a win con, but it's a little bit less so because it's very hard to achieve. So if I were to gain life, I gain that much +1. That's decent, right? But then I can exile him and search for my library for any number of creature cards. Most of them are going to be legendary creatures or creatures that can, you know, win me the game. And legendary creatures, and I get to put them on the battlefield, but I can only activate it if I have 111 or more life, which I've gotten there once before, but I didn't get Bilbo, which was very sad, but I have gotten to over 100 life with this deck before. And all those creatures enter the battlefield will trigger Yoshimaru, because most of them are going to be legendary, and yeah. Next up is Rock's Faith Member. We're getting into the non-legendary creatures now, because I do have to have a few of them. So if he has lifelink, and if you were to gain life, you gain that much, you gain twice that instead. So, you know, instead of Yoshi doing damage, I gain, I don't know, 3 life, I gain 6. So, happy with that. That also helps to get the Bilbo Baggage trigger, which, you know, Bilbo Baggage trigger is amazing. Next, Winding Constrictor, you know, puts more counters on things. It's kind of the entire point of my deck, but next up, Absent Falconeer. Each creature with a +1/+1 counter on it has flying, which is going to be good because Yoshi's going to have +1/+1 counters on it, and he's going to have flying. Just imagine a, like, gigantic dog flying over you and, like, slamming into you. Just jumping off of something, that would be really funny. Kami of Whispered Hopes. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, put that many +1, and then add, and it's also Mana Rock. So, adds more counters and a Mana Rock. I would say that's pretty good. Corpse Strike Menace doubles +1/+1 counters. Invigorating Strike. Okay, we're getting into the instance now. So this puts +1/+1 counter on something and then doubles the +1/+1 counters on it. So at some points in the game, Yoshimaru can have like maybe 2, 3 +1/+1 counters on it. Then this would make it go up to 4 and then 8, which he'll be a 9/9 then. So that would be pretty good. It is pretty good. I've played it in a few games. Return of the Wild Speaker. Oh, this one's really good because I get to draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-humans. He's a non-human. He's a dog. So you can imagine. And then also non-human creatures you control +3/+3, which, you know, it could be used depending on what I need it for in a certain situation. Next is Beacon of Immortality. Okay, so this is the card that I was talking about. So Beacon of Immortality doubles life total. So that helps you get up to Bilbo, right? If you have Beacon of Immortality and Rock's Faith Member on the board, it gains you 80 life. If you're at 40, it gains you plus 200% life. Also, if you have Will of Dusk on the board, you get to add a bunch of life equal, like if you gain, let's say you're at like 20 life, play Beacon of Immortality, it's 20 +1/+1 counters on something. And there's also Lathiel, you know, put +1/+1 counters on stuff equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn. So it's a good card for the combos, some of the combos that I have in this deck, but It also shuffles itself back into the library, and it does cost 6 mana, but I would say that it's worth it. So, next card is Generous Gift. You know, smush something with an elephant. Next, Putrefy. Again, smush something. Next, Swords to Plowshares. This one's not really smushing something. This one's like hitting it really, really hard and it goes flying. Next, Ram Through. This is good because he's going to be pretty big, and there's some cards that give him trample in here. So, next up is Windswift Slice. You know, again, he's going to be pretty big, and I can deal damage to someone like a small creature, and I get a bunch of elves. Which, you know, aren't great in this deck, but it's always good to have a few guys. Mortality Spear, it's most likely going to cost a black and a green, because I am going to be gaining a bunch of life, my bad, and destroy something, so. Ooh, Urza's Remiss Blast, okay, this is fun. So it doesn't completely shut down a game of Commander, but it will exile a bunch of stuff. Like, I have a few friends who play token decks, and when I play this card against them, it ruins their entire game. Because their decks are so, you know, good with, you know, non-legendary creatures, it ruins a bunch of stuff for them, which is fun most of the time. Vision of Dominance, this just does the same thing as Invigorating Surge. But it has flashback, so. Next, Rampant Growth, Ramp, yeah, Ramp, yeah, okay. I think we're on to equipment now. Black Blade Reforged, Big Donkey, that's really all you need to know. Next card, Loxton Warhammer, Trample and Lifelink, and +3/+0. Does cost 6 to fully get it running though. Swiftfoot Boots, you know, Swiftfoot Boots gives it haste. Okay, now we're on to the artifact ramp. So Abzan Banner, then we have Golgari Signet, then we have Orzhov Signet. See, I don't know what the white-green one is. I don't have it in this deck. I don't know why. Next up we have Soul Ring. Gotta have Soul Ring. Arcane Signet. And Commander Sphere. Oh, and Mind Stone. Yep. It's all mana ramp artifacts. And then we have Wayfarer's Bauble. And Fellwar Stone. Okay, yeah. Gotta get some artifact ramp in it. I really like this printing of Fellwar Stone too. Yeah. Okay, next up is Absence Memorial. It's indestructible. Legendary permanents I control, have indestructible. Kind of self-explanatory. Aether Flux Reservoir. Pay 50, deal 50. It's that simple. And then it has, whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. But, like I said, Beacon of Immortality, along with infusing the double life, that would be extremely good. And it's a win column. I think that's all I need to say. Next up, Sword of the Chosen. Target legendary creature gets +2/+2. Well of Lost Dreams. This one's pretty good. It's whenever you gain life, you may pay X, where X is less than equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. So, like, let's say I gain 2 life, pay 2 mana, draw 2 cards. Next, Hero's Podium. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other legendary creature you control. And since I have a lot of legendary creatures, they're all going to be pretty big at that point, if I have this on the board. Flaming Fist. Okay, we're into enchantments now. Flaming Fist. Double Strike gives commanders double strike. Noble Heritage is kind of just like a don't mess with me because you get stuff if you don't card. It's very good because commander is a, you know, Day of Destiny. Legendary creatures you control get +2/+2. Flowering of the White Tree. Legendaries have +2/+1 and Ward. Ward 1. Next up's On Sarah's Wings. Flying Doggy. That's all you need to know. Now On Sarah's Wings, it's enchanted creature. Enchanted creature is legendary, gets +1/+1, has flying, visions, and lifelink. So if I equip that to a legendary creature, does it become non-legendary? Like, does it like cancel each other out? You know? I don't know. Probably not. Hardened Scales. Yeah, it's very similar to Winding Constrictor, but it's an enchantment instead. Sanguine Bond, whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Say a Beacon of Immortality into this, that most likely kills somebody if it's later game. Next is Armadillo Cloak, +2/+2 and trample, and then it's lifelink, but before it got simplified. Next is Rogue's... Oh, okay, we're on to the special lands now. Rogue's Passage. 4 and tap, creature can't be blocked. Now we're... Yep, the Shire. I get to create food tokens. Gain some life. Always good. Temple of the False God. Who doesn't know that one? Evolving Wilds. Yep. Command Tower. This is a really nice command tower that I got. Here, let me just do this one over. Yeah, so there's one side with all the dinosaurs and stuff. This is from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan collector boosters. This is one of the cards that you can get from it. Some of the Jurassic Park cards. Now, it's so hard because I need to decide which side to keep it on. I need to decide whether to keep it on this side or to keep it on this side. I think I've kept it on this side for a while, but I'm just gonna continue keeping it on this side. Alright, next. Sandstep Citadel. You know, add the colors that my commander needs. Or, yeah. Now we have the temples, which when they enter the battlefield, I scry Uno. Yep, all 3 of them. 2 of them are the Fallout ones, 1 of them isn't. I feel like I kind of need to get the Temple of Plenty. I need to get the Fallout version of Temple of Plenty, just to, you know, keep the set all the same, but I'll do that later. Next up, oh, okay, we're getting to the lands now. See, I really like the basic lands we got. I mostly have a different one for every land. A few of them are the same, or, oh, this one's really nice. This is Phyrexian Oil Slick Raised Foil from the All Will Be One Complete Bundle. Yeah, no, I mean, they're lands. They're not too special. Yo, this one's cool, though. This is from Infinity. Carlov Manor. Phyrexia All Will Be One. Infinity. That's Ixalan. Lord of the Rings. Yep. Phyrexia. Oh, this is from Brothers War. This is a really cool planes. All Will Be One and Infinity. Alright, well, thank you for watching. And I'll be back with another one, maybe, eventually. Alright, see you later.